fire that gutted a dormitory at Namirembe Hillside High School, which is located in Chitetika. The police also revealed that they managed to foil another attempt to set the school library on fire. However, the school management resolved to close the school, so investigations into the matter continue. To put today's discussion into perspective, let's take a look at a story that was run earlier on NTV Tonight before we get into our guests.
Last week, Hiram Nambiru, a primary two pupil of Peak Hill Primary School in Kawempe Division, was sadly electrocuted. In the middle of the week, one pupil of Buddha Junior School, Innocent Lawoko, drowned in a swimming pool, while Deogracious Omagol, a student of Teso College Elowet, and Enoch Madeti, a student of St. Mary's College Isubi, collapsed and died due to heart conditions. Patrick Kabuyu, the National Secretary of the Federation of Non-State Education Institutions, FENAI, believes school administrators should obtain a health insurance for the schools.
A school of the 21st century should choose to invest where it is most important. And in this case, I would vouch for areas where, for instance, you are ensuring life. In
the event of a death occurring on the school premises, Kaboyo says that the first thing to be done is to determine the probable cause of death.
To first assess and give a preliminary report before even the whole process is messed up by those who are not professionals.
And the next course of action should be to inform the parents of the deceased in person.
It's better that if such a thing happens, the parent is informed in time to be able to assess how it happened, why it happened, and to be able to dialogue over such an issue.
Because this could turn into a legal matter, Kaboyo advises school administrators to always have legal personnel on hand. Furthermore, he encourages teachers to teach students and pupils first aid techniques.
Whereas schools often have the chief responsibility of looking after the children that they admit, parents are also advised to take an interest in the welfare of their children in the schools where they take them to study.
The role of the parents is to participate in school activities. 1, attend meetings that the schools call. 3, have dialogue with those that handle your children.
In line with this report, police has opened up charges of negligence on the administration of Peak Hill Primary School.
Right now, what we are waiting for is the report from Umeme. All statements from the concerned in the school have been recorded.
Well, joining us this morning for this discussion, safety of students at school, is a friend of mine, Mr. Godfrey Busozi, who is an educationist and another man who is trying to take that position. He started a very, very good position. He bribed me today with a lapel of his school. He's Mr. Chris Wire, who is the headmaster Mpoma Girls School. I don't have children yet, but I can see my children, just because of this lapel, might just end up in Mpoma. I don't know if Madam is yet to accept that, but we'll get into that. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You have been seeing this in the papers, in the news. It has been a discussion left, right, center. Everyone is talking about it. The safety of students at school. Is it just one of those things that is just an incident? It has happened 1, 2, 3 times, and now suddenly, it's a discussion and it's a worry. Is it just a one-off incident? Is it something that we should really be worried about? I'll start with you, Mr. Busozi.
Thank you so much, and good morning, viewers out there. It is not really a one-off. It is something to worry about when it comes to safety of students at school. And when we talk of safety of students, we are looking across board from the pre-primary up to the tertiary level and the universities. But also there is the social setup of our people and the institutions where they run. For instance, if you are to look at how these institutions get to be, who is supposed to do the enforcement of standards? You have the education standards agents, and when you go to the local government, there is the inspectorate angle, who are supposed to see to it that there are what they call minimum standards for a school to be a school.
When you say minimum standards, that's my cue in there. What are these are we as parents aware? I think the last time we had this discussion here, we were talking about parents,
yes,
and schools.
Yes.
I think that the parents, I don't think, I was about to say the parents today, but I don't remember any of my parents ever going to check on any safety measures in any of the schools that I went to. Is it because we are, as parents, they're not interested? All they're interested in is their children being at school? Is it because that body that is supposed to go to schools and make sure that those minimum security measures are in place are not working? Or is it because the schools can't afford these safety measures?
No, they do afford the safety measures, but I've told you the social setup. You see, there is the reality and the ideal. Whereas the ideal is that there should be minimum standards, but the reality is totally different.
Okay.
First of all, now, fortunately or unfortunately, I know these schools where these incidences have happened quite well. These, by Ugandan standards, are what we call the good schools. Now, these good schools, there are safety measures in place, but at times it happens because of accidents. But there are others which happen because of the criminality aspect therein. But when we talk about health and safety in schools, it's a big thing. In this short time we are going to be on this NTV for this taking note, we may not be able to manage
to address
yes,
everything.
That's why I told you that there are these minimum standards. There are certain basics which must be in place to ensure safety.
Let's just get through this minimum, because you know when this happened, I was seated somewhere with my border men. It's very interesting when you sit with these border men, they have ideas out of this world. And one of the gentlemen stood up and said, these schools, a school should have an ambulance, should have a nurse, should have a security guard, like three of them, one on this gate, the other one. And the first, of course, the argument started there is these schools, some of them can't afford it, and all that. But what do these schools, what are the minimum security measures that these schools need to have?
At least the school should have an enclosure and with somebody manning.
That is the askari, the gatekeeper that we usually see there.
You should have somebody who...
Should he have a gun, a cane, a bow and arrow?
No, he should have a good IQ to understand and detect what would come in.
Okay.
Those ones, the guns and the bows and the arrows, come later on in the night, really to fight off crime, to do the patrols. Because now we are looking at a typical school when we are looking at the minimum standards. And then in the dormitories where these students sleep, they should be spacious enough, not squeezed, such that in case of any eventuality, there should be an escape route.
I remember my dormitory in Savio and Smack, and I remember we used to have 3 decars.
Lucky you.
We had 3 decars, but if I remember very well, the burglar proofing in that dormitory, I don't think if a fire ever happened, I would be able to make it out.
I'm not going to mention,
but I don't want. I'm just saying if I remember very well. But yeah, go on.
So now what happens is because of what I have told you, there is the social aspect. Because, we come from this society, and the reality in that society is totally different.
Okay.
So then what happens, these standards get compromised. And what mainly brings about this is affordability issues. Both sides cannot afford. We would love to have this good thing, but we do not have the means. So what do? You set a compromise.
Okay.
And then consequently these things happen. But also there is the other reality which you have got to know. There are accidents, because children are children. At that age they are very agile and they want to discover. So by so doing, they are bound to run into a few troubles here and there, like falling down, You know, in my culture, we say a kid grows because of the number of fallings that he or she encounters. Now, equally within this education system, the school setup, these kids, because of the agility to discover, they end up messing up themselves. Somebody will touch on the live wire to see what would happen. He wants to experiment. Then the other one will be able, because of adolescence, to have, say, if we did this, what do you think would happen?
What would happen, They're trying to test. They're doing a lot of trial.
Now, because of all this cocktail of issues, coupled with unprofessionalism of our profession, which does not work to help these young people to work on the mind, such that they're in a position to know. Because, you know, when you're growing up, especially the secondary school students, adolescence stage, they want to discover, they want to learn a lot of things, and yet they don't get that help because of the earlier communication which I gave you. You don't have enough manpower on staff to attend to these individual students. When they are being attended to, they are attended to in groups generally. So you are not able to detect all these things. Consequently, you get what we are experiencing today.
Mr. Bwire, let's bring you into this discussion. You are a headmaster. First of all, how is Mpoma Girls?
Well, Mpoma Girls is doing very well.
I think
we are preparing to celebrate 25 years of existence this Friday, 2nd August.
My invitation is not
expecting His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni to be our guest of honor. And I would say it's a big hive of activity. We are preparing. The guards are set, the members of staff are set, everyone is set, and we are eager. We are fine.
You hear what Mr. Busobozi is pointing out here.
Yes,
and I don't know how possible it is for us to have the ratio of students and people attending to them balance. The challenges that you've had them in schools now, kids being electrocuted, a child faints and there is no emergency to attend to them, and you have very many children from different corners of this this country. Kids with I was in school with kids that we only got to find out that they had certain diseases after they suffered. I remember when I was in school, I was skipping a rope and I broke one of my arms, but gladly that the school took care of it all the way. Unfortunately, those days you never leave school. School would take care of all your illnesses and all that. We have very many children from different. We have stubborn kids, the ones that are trying out everything and nothing at all. Then we have those that have simply come for school. How do you handle this?
Well, stemming from what he said, I would like to say that we have, and indeed you can have access to the minimum standards of education. We have documents in place, and any head teacher or appropriate of a school worth the name should be able to access these documents. For example, just before General Kale Kaihura left office, he had disseminated a document to all schools, and this he did with the Ministry of Education and Sports, giving guidelines on how to prevent and deal with school fires. These documents are available. And then the other thing is that the minimum standards, the documents are available. Anyone who cares should be able to access them from the ministry or from the website. Should be able to seek these documents and read them and then put them in place. It's unfortunate you say that when you were in school you broke an arm and the school did their part to take care of all
I can't
that.
complain. They sorted me out properly.
Yes. And I'll tell you that a school is supposed to put in place measures of implementing the ministry and the police guidelines on safety. A school should have a committee in charge of students' safety and health. This committee should be functional. it should be a committee that meets regularly. It should be a committee that deals with the other stakeholders. For example, a school should be able to invite to their school proactively the DPC or the police liaison officer, the nearest police station, to interface with the community of the school so that they understand these safety measures. In fact, one should be able to invite the police to come and do an inspection, a proactive inspection, honestly, so that one can deal with this, not waiting for the time when you have a crisis.
When you have an incident.
Yes.
That is ideal.
But
It's ideal and practical. But let us be honest, is that what is actually happening in schools? Do we have these committees that you're talking about that are continuously meeting to make sure that those measures are met in these schools?
I'll tell you, if there is a school out there which does not have such a committee that meets regularly, they should expect the next fire any time from now.
Yeah, but you see, David, this is the issue here is, I talked about professionalism.
Yeah.
You cannot wait to take orders from the police. Because the police, their issue is mainly to do with security.
Yeah.
But here we are talking about an education institution. When you are looking at safety, now you bring the policeman as a resource person to give you the expertise, and then you pick from that expertise knowledge to enhance your system. You don't sit back until you wait for the policeman to do what? To come. Now, these guidelines, you see, that's why I'm telling you, there are so many issues. Because everybody thinks can fix education. They take it as a soft spot. That's why you remember the other time when teachers went on strike, RDCs said they would go in class and teach. Now, equally, because there are so many things which are failing within the system, and that's why you have all these issues coming up. Because ideally, when you set up a school and you know the minimum standards and they are on paper, but just like I have told you, because from the set where we are coming from, the reality is different from the ideal. These things come up. As a headmaster, the good thing is here, you should be able to have mitigating factors, to have these safety measures in place. Now, if you cannot afford to have enough space within the dormitory because of the pressures from the parents and the failure to have enough money, and the children are kind of crammed, then make sure that the dormitory has got another exit or under a 2 or 3 exits, so that in case of emergence, these crammed up children can be able to do what? To escape. 2, as he's saying, there should be, you should have the spy network within that setup, within that population. You are able to filter the information that comes in. But just like I told you, these people are too busy. Now I'll give you an example of secondary schools. Many of the staff who teach in these secondary schools, they are shopping teachers because of the economic aspect. Me, I go to teach because I deliver chemistry. And my timetable reads 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock. I have delivered my lesson, I have signed, I have marked the books, here I go.
I am off
to
the next school.
Now, the schools cannot afford employing these full-time teachers who are going to go an extra mile. The guidance and counseling department is almost non-existent. The people who are there within these schools, who are called the senior men and the senior women teachers, what do? They only reprimand, they only look at one aspect of girl-boy relations, what they call immorality. But they don't go an extra mile to help this young man grow. In the other developed countries, we have got educational social workers. Here it is like I'm talking Gujarati when I talk of an education social worker. So they expect these teachers to do everything.
Mr. Bude, are we expecting too much out of the teachers? Are we, as a school setup, do you have enough to make sure that these security measures or safety measures are met? Do we have enough in our school setup in Uganda? Not particularly your school, but do you feel like we have enough? Because as he points out, teachers, we know teachers who are teaching in 3, 4 schools. They don't have enough time for, all that. You have a matron who is just going to wait for them to get into bed, and then when they come into dormitory, they are trying out Bunsen burners that were taught in chemistry, and the next thing you know is the dormitory is up in flames.
Well, I will tell you that I do not personally believe in blanket condemnation of a whole sector. I think he intended to mean that many schools are having challenges. But I'll tell you that there are many schools that are trying their best. The challenge is there. Of course, he mentioned the economic challenges. He mentioned the issues of staffing and, of course, management. These are there, but there are many that are trying.
Do you think that schools out there are concentrating so much on the results because that is what brings them the business, that all the other things are just extra factors? Let's first get the results in, get how many first grades, and that is the concentration, and we're leaving all the other things that we should actually think about as well.
Yes, indeed. It is possible that some schools are over-concentrating on results, but I will tell you that no school will get sparkling results if they don't take other issues seriously. Results are a product of many factors taken into consideration. The great results you see coming out of a school should be as a result of very many considerations, very many factors taken into safety, notwithstanding. It must be one of the factors. There are other areas. There are issues of co-curricular activities. You should know that co-curricular activities, for example, reinforce academic performance in a school. There are issues of counseling and guidance. These reinforce issues of faith. They do reinforce academic performance. There is no school that will produce sparkling results if they are just concentrating on an isolated factor, academic performance. It must be a holistic approach.
Okay. Mr. Busobozi, as we wrap this up, the way forward.
This is the way forward. One, all school managers, the good thing we have a head teacher here, they need to reorient staff, especially to do with safety. That is a practical approach, and it is doable at the school level. Then the other thing that can be done, because you see, why I'm saying this, these people, they are young people. They want to discover. They are learning. So at that age, mistakes are acceptable. But when it becomes fatal and very destructive, now you can see it has taken the criminal element because people are getting arrested. But in the real sense, that can be nipped in the bud if these schools take precaution and measures are taken. Because in the other developed nations, these schools would be sued on both angles. Because you cannot, I brought my child to school to be given education, not for him to be taken to prison. Now, what is it is a whole. It is quite challenging. The other aspect would be that these schools invite the people who have knowledge, and then they empower, they educate the school community on what needs to be done and what ought to be done. And then lastly, let the powers that be, especially the regulators and the enforcement arm of government, do their job.
Okay.
So together as a consortium, this will be history.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bwire, I'm going to ask your parting shot to be about the anniversary, 25 years.
Thank you, David. Indeed, 2nd August, all roads lead to Mpoma School. We are inviting all people that have served in Mpoma School, all former students of the school, our old girls, and their spouses, and those who have ever dated girls of who have studied from Mpoma. They are all welcome. We are having the President of the Republic of Uganda as our chief guest, and Bishop Christopher Kakoza of Lugazi Diocese will be there to lead the Mass. And we are said the cake is there, and the food is there, the drink is there. It's going to be a great day to remember a perfect job done in 25 years. Yes, 2nd August.
I was hoping you'll say everyone that has that appeal is also invited. But,
oh, yes, indeed. I have a special invitation for NTV, specifically to you. You can come with your team, and we'll have a cake for you as well.
Thank you,
for the staff of NTV.
I love cake. I'm definitely showing up. Thank you very much, Mr. Chris Wire, the headmaster of Mpoma Girls School. 2nd August, we're heading to Mpoma. That's where we're going to be to celebrate 25 years of Mpoma Girls School. I'm looking forward to that. Mr. Godfrey Busobozi, an educationist, joining us this morning as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
Always glad to have you here.
Thank you, David.
Give us a good insight on education in this country. Anyway, that's it. That's what we had for our Take Note conversation. Right about now, let's find our friend Mbide Stephen, who is in Abaita Babiri, to update us on how the traffic is there before we wrap up Morning at 10 TV. Mbide, good morning.
Morning, David. Thank you for coming to me. Yes, I'm here at Abaita Babiri. Indeed, this is Entebbe Road. As you make your way from Kampala, just know that it's already a still clear flow of traffic for those coming from the city direction heading towards Entebbe Road. But if you know you're heading towards Nkumba, just a stone throw from here where I'm standing, where there will be the 26th coronation anniversary for His